a world where the number of movies available is great, but many are so bad, you'll learn a new definition of hate. One man sifts and reviews through the movie sludge. One man will be the movie cop, jury, and judge. He goes by many names, but you know him by Movies Merica.
Welcome to Movies Merica Haunted House. Come on in. You can always come in, but you can never leave. This month, we are reviewing the scariest movies. So, let's start things out. Fright.
Roll that intro, master.
Hey, all you beautiful movie-loving people out there. Live from a red carpet somewhere, surrounded by celebrities. This is the Movies Merica podcast with Van Ebert, where movie reviews meet cold brews. Van will review your favorite and maybe not so favorite movies while enjoying some ice-cold beers and saying cheers. Now let's head into the theater and join our illustrious movie reviewer du jour, who's no doubt got the beer ready to pour, Van Ebert. Yes, welcome to Movies Merica Haunted House. And this is our last episode of the Movies Merica Haunted House series. So, since we've got Halloween tomorrow night, yes, where the ghosts and goblins come out from behind the graveyard. Yes, and we are going to blow the roof off of this last episode in the Haunted House series with a movie that, man, I tell you, I think I put it right up there with The Exorcist as far as just sheer, scare factor. I mean, yeah, it's effective, that's for sure. And that movie is called The Conjuring.
All right, it's 9:18. We're headed down into the cellar where the door's just opened on its own. Give us a sign that you want to communicate with us. Nothing.
What are you guys?
Well, we've been called ghost hunters, paranormal researchers.
But we prefer to be known simply as Ed and Lorraine Warren.
There's someone here that would like to talk to you.
There's something horrible happening in my house.
It's November 1st, 1971. I'm sitting here with Carolyn Perrin, who, with her family, has been experiencing supernatural occurrences. You picking up anything in here, hon?
Something awful happened here, Ed.
What is it? Whatever Lorraine sees, feels, touches, it takes a toll on her. A little piece each time.
You have a lot of spirits in here, but there's one that I'm most worried about because it is so hateful. Look what she made me do.
Well, like they say, the cost of home ownership, I tell you, whew, that house puts that family through a little bit more than, say, your average family having to fix a water heater or something like that. But so it could always be worse. Just think about that, homeowners. Okay, so with that, before we get into The Conjuring, I just want to let you know that this podcast has its episodes on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and many other fine podcast platforms that you can think of. And if you happen to be on Apple Podcast, feel free to zip on down to the bottom of all the episodes and find those 5 fantastic, funky stars. And feel free to give me a 5-star rating down there if you're feeling generous, if you're feeling charitable, okay? And then also, since you're down there, there's a write a review button, and you can click on that, and it does exactly like it says. You click on it, you write a review, and that review can be a nice, short, pithy review, or it could be, a long, extensive Stephen King novel, or if you want to write War and Peace, hey, you know what? It's a free country. You can do what you like. So, but I would just appreciate your cooperation. That'd be fantastic. I would be touched. That's for sure. So, also, the podcast episodes are available on moviesmerica.com. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook under the name Movies Merica, of course. Absolutely. So feel free to reach out to me there or check out any of the posts that I put out there as well. Every once in a while when I'm feeling ambitious, if I feel like actually doing something, I'll put a post out there on social media. And, you could just communicate with me out there, all right? And, okay, so as you know, if you've ever listened to a podcast episode of this one here before, this is where movie reviews meet ice cold brews, meaning I'm reviewing a movie, but I'm also drinking a beer. I'm also downing some suds while I'm reviewing the movie. And tonight's lucky Halloween beer that I will be imbibing is Oktoberfest. Yes, everybody, I found an Oktoberfest. I know last week's episode, I said I couldn't find any Oktoberfest because they kept coming out with all the holiday brews, that I didn't want to touch quite yet. So I was looking for Oktoberfest. I only ended up going to a couple of grocery stores to look, so it's not like I scoured the entire, Metroplex area, But we have a total wine and spirits store, big old, the Costco of booze. And we've got one of those. And, with the big inventory and selection they have, I obviously found a Oktoberfest. And so the Oktoberfest I found was from 3 Nations Brewing in Carrollton, Texas. Hey, what do you know? Here in the Metroplex. That's the brewery. Here in the Metroplex. And like I said, I am downing their Oktoberfest. And it's nice and thick, rich and hearty. And let me down a little bit of this thick, rich and hearty brew, okay? Before we get into the review. That's good stuff. Very good stuff. Absolutely. I recommend it. 3 Nations Brewing, Oktoberfest. And again, as I always let you guys know, I'm not getting any money from these breweries or anything like that. So, I just like brew, and I like reviews. And speaking of reviews, let's get into The Conjuring. That's a fun voice to make. So, The Conjuring. Let me give you a synopsis of The Conjuring, okay? So, it starts off like a lot of horror movies where you have a family or a group of innocent people, supposedly innocent people that are moving into a house. And, they're thinking, hey, things are going to go great, and they're looking to have a good time. They're moving in a family, or they're out there for a weekend camping trip or something like that. They're just totally unaware of anything bad that's going to happen, right? And soon this family, this mom and dad, and then I think 5 daughters, nice family, they move into this house out in the country, a little fresh country air, away from the city, away from the noise. At least that was the idea. Ooh, got a beer burp there. I apologize. So, they move into this house, and they start experiencing some weird happenings. The furnace works just fine, but the house is really cold. People, make the grave mistake of sleeping with their exposed legs out underneath the sheets and the blankets. That's a rookie move, of course, right? Yeah, you got to keep your whole body underneath the blankets, right? Otherwise, the ghosts and goblins will get you, right? So, we've got some rookies in this family, and so they're sleeping with their legs exposed, and so, they feel like things grabbing their legs in the middle of the night and that kind of thing, and pictures are getting knocked down off the walls violently, stuff like that. So just weird happenings, right? And then all this stuff escalates. It gets a lot worse, and a few pictures get knocked off a wall. And then they enlist the help of our main characters of The Conjuring, Ed and Lorraine Warren, okay? So Ed is the only non-ordained demonologist supported by the Catholic Church, so supported by the Vatican. And then Lorraine is a very gifted, very powerful clairvoyant, right? She can see, visions, or not visions, but she can see your memories, I guess your thoughts sometimes as well. She touches you, or she can see things that other people can't see, okay? And that obviously comes in handy, when you're a part of a duo of demonologists, right? Well, Ed's a demonologist, and then she's the powerful, very powerful clairvoyant. And we're introduced to them like at the beginning of the movie. They start off with talking about how some roommates had in an apartment. They encountered like a child that had died, and so it was like the spirit of a child that had died that was wandering around their apartment. And this childlike spirit was friendly, and then she asked to, hey, can I, me as a spirit, can I inhabit this doll here? Well, the doll's name is Annabelle, and that may sound familiar because there's movies out there about this doll, right? So that's the beginning of this movie, and then so these roommates are telling this story to Ed and Lorraine Warren because they obviously have heard of this couple who get rid of spirits or they cleanse haunted houses, that kind of thing. And so so the point of that is we're introduced to Ed and Lorraine Warren towards the beginning of this movie and introduced to their talents, right, to their God-given abilities here. And so, like I said, this family enlists the help of Ed and Lorraine, and they are obviously enlisting their help to try to get whatever is causing these otherworldly phenomenon in their house to stop, right? They're trying to get that to stop. Obviously, they don't want anything happening to themselves, right? And so another part of what this family does in the house, a very useful plot device, is they play this game called a hide and clap, right? Where, you've got the daughters in the house. They go out and they hide, and then one of the daughters, they blindfold her. They spin her around after they blindfold her, and obviously her task is to find the others that have hidden, right? The hide, right? And then she gets to ask them 3 times to clap, okay? And that's supposed to help her or whoever is blindfolded to find the people, that are hiding, right? So hide and clap is the name of the game. And so that comes in, like I said, as a very creepy, provides some very creepy moments from this plot device of the game hide and clap. And they use it. James Wan, the director, uses that very effectively. And so it's just one of a myriad of different things that makes this movie just spooky and creepy. And this couple, this family, they definitely demonstrate that you may just want to check out who owned any house you're thinking of buying before you buy, okay? So do a little research before you sign that dotted line. And this family is finding out the hard way, okay? And so, like I said, they enlist Ed and Lorraine Warren's help. Ed and Lorraine Warren explain to them that, well, you can't just cleanse the house. You can't just, have an exorcism. Because Ed comes to the conclusion after they investigated in the house and they hear some things about what's going on in the house. They did come to the conclusion that, okay, well, yeah, we're gonna have to have an exorcism on the house, not a person yet. Maybe, I don't know. You got to watch the movie to find out, or if you've seen the movie. But an exorcism of some type is in order, right? And so Ed explains to the family that, well, you can't just do an exorcism. You have to get permission from the Vatican. And in order to get permission from the Vatican, you have to provide evidence. You have to provide proof, okay? You can't just go to the Vatican and go, hey, we want to do an exorcism. You're like, no, you have to show proof. And cue Ed and Lorraine bringing in like an investigative team to the house to get this set proof, a la kind of like Poltergeist, right? Remember in Poltergeist, they bring in the team to investigate and get proof and try to exorcise the house, right? So The Conjuring does something on that level, kind of like that. So, and then the story just progresses from there. Now, in case anybody who's listening to this hasn't seen the movie, that's why I'm not going to go any further into the plot than that. But that's the brass tacks of the plot. But I'm leaving out the end. I'm leaving out the third act to this. But yeah, it's I would definitely recommend this movie. I mean, obviously that's why I'm doing a review for the Movies Merica Haunted House series. I am not reviewing this particular movie because I don't want you to see it. I would definitely I definitely recommend this movie. That's for sure. A couple of the reasons is because Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, they portray genuinely concerned and dedicated fighters for those that call for their help. So Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, they play Ed and Lorraine Warren. And Patrick Wilson, when you see him, you probably recognize him from the movie Watchmen. He's been in the Insidious movies. He was in a movie that me and like 5 other people have seen called Stretch. I love that movie. And also, I think he was in the movie version of A-Team. I mean, and then he was also in Aquaman. So he played the bad guy in Aquaman. So yeah, you'll know him. Like, oh, that guy. Okay, yeah. And then Vera Farmiga, she was in The Departed. She played the love interest of Matt Damon and Leonardo DiCaprio in The Departed. And she's been in a bunch of other movies as well. And like I said, yeah, they do a great job at just conveying concern and genuine, like, emotion and empathy for the people that they're helping out. Okay, so I mean, they're just a very, very couple of nice characters, and also they have a daughter that obviously that they're trying to protect as well. Ron Livingston, old Peter Gibbons from Office Space, and Captain Nixon from Band of Brothers. He's in this movie, and I typically like Ron Livingston, but unfortunately for old Ron, he's pretty much the guy that asks questions for the audience's benefit. He's the one, hey, what's in that bottle? Hey, how long have you been doing this? Why are you doing that? Just so Ed and Lorraine can explain to him and the audience what they're doing. And so he's kind of relegated to, just kind of being, a character of exposition, so to speak. So, and yeah, this house that they're in, I can't say enough. It's a scary country house, and it's complete with like hidden cellars and crawl spaces. It's got like old foreboding furniture in it. It's just, it's. James Wan does a fantastic job. I mean, with the interiors of this house and just the secret nature of the construction of the house and that kind of thing. It makes me think back to like this old farmhouse that I bought years ago and lived in years ago, and it was built like in the 1880s or 1890s. It had a creepy old basement like this one. It had like a furnace where all the ducts from it, all the pipes from the furnace, made it look like it was a big spider. It had like spider legs, or the ducts from the furnace looked like spider legs. It was really creepy looking, especially when the lights were out. Oh my God! You had to go down there and like light the furnace, and then it looked like a fiery spider. And so this movie or this house in The Conjuring kind of reminded me of that. So that was a lot of fun, like having to go down there and light the furnace like at 3 a.m. in the morning with no lights. Yeah. So I can relate to this movie. But one of the things that Ed and Lorraine Warren they explain about what they do, demonology, and Lorraine with being a clairvoyant, is a way that like demons and the occult and the evil spirits from hell work. Is it starts off with infestation. Okay, it infests a place or a person. Then the second step is oppression. So that's when when the victim starts hearing voices and things moving around by themselves, and just like general like mental torture, like really tearing them to shreds, right? And then the third and final step is possession. Okay, so just possessing the person that they want to do their bidding, that kind of thing. So yeah, so those are the three main ingredients of the evil baddies from hell. Okay, and so this movie literally shows you like those three phases, for lack of a better way of putting it, and it shows them in very effective fashion. It just gets under your skin, faux show. And when the Warrens first get to this house after the mother, the wife that moved in, asked for their help, they look around and they recognize clues, like hearing the family talk about how they'll walk around the house and suddenly they'll smell like some rancid smell, like dead, rotting flesh. And it doesn't happen everywhere. It just happens. Or they'll hear knocking in the walls, and Ed is experienced enough to go like, "Oh, does it come in threes? Does it end at dawn?" And obviously the husband goes, "Yeah, that's exactly what happened." And so Ed's obviously been down this road before. This is not his first rodeo. And so with stuff like that, he realizes, okay, well, that's a sign that a demon presence within the house is possible. And since it's with the house, it's with the family, okay? And he also explains to them that you can't just leave, okay? Because now that you're in the house and you're the owner of the house, it's not just with the house, it's with you. So this evil spirit is going to follow you wherever you go. So the name of the game is cleanse the house, right? Okay? And obviously that's indeed what they do in the movie, okay? I won't tell you how it ends up, but that's what they at least attempt to do, okay? Just some technical notes to this. Production designer Julie Berghoff and director James Wan, hats off to them. Chef's kiss to them. I mean, they do a masterful job at creating some extremely eerie-looking rooms and shadows and environments in this movie. For me personally, this may not be the same for everybody, but for me personally, like the 1970s setting made it even more haunting because this all goes down in 1971. And for me, that affected me a little bit more. So I don't know why, but it did. And so, yeah, it's pretty good for a spooky movie there. The more it creeps you out. So, yeah, hence the reason to watch a spooky movie, right? And and to that note, I mean, a movie is scary when it gets you to want to just leave all the lights on in your house, right? It's like, where like 2 hours ago you're like, I don't care if any lights in the house are on. I'm just gonna walk around the house and I'm gonna keep as many lights off as I want. I'm trying to save some kilowatts here. And then you watch a movie like this and you're like, yeah, I think I'm gonna be turning on all the lights in all the rooms. And so that's the sign of a great, scary movie, okay? Woo! And The Conjuring makes you do that, okay? And I also couldn't help but notice, since I've seen The Exorcist so many times, but I couldn't help but notice that it's got the same cold, bluish color grading that The Exorcist has. And I'm assuming James Wan is going for that. At least one reason I would assume is because it is set in the 1970s. And it just is, if you can get your movie to resemble as close to The Exorcist as possible, it's just going to help your movie be that much scarier. And speaking of The Exorcist, let me remind you, a few episodes back in the Movies Merica Haunted House series, I did a review of The Exorcist, so definitely check that out if you haven't checked that out already. It's definitely worth it. So I'm going to get another tug off this Oktoberfest, all right? Because I'm getting parched. This is hard work sitting here. All right. let's move on in our trip down the Conjuring lane, all right? And this movie is not just, chills and creepiness and spooks and goblins and jump scares, and it does have a few jump scares in it. So, but it doesn't do it. It doesn't overdo it with the jump scares. I know there's a lot of, quote unquote horror movies nowadays where the creators of the horror movie totally lack imagination, totally lack creativity. And they're just like, oh, we're just going to have some dark rooms and then we're going to have a bunch of jump scares. And that's what we're going to call a horror movie. And they all suck, right? This one does have jump scares in it, but not that many. And it uses them to a very intense effect, okay? And these jump scares are very earned. And this movie does have a very emotional ending to it. Now, Lorraine and Ed Warren, they are very spiritual people. They are very charitable people. They live to serve. And even Lorraine, says it, a couple times. It's like, there's a reason that God brought them both together, Ed and Lorraine. It's to do good, to fight evil, to help people out with this, and so God uses them as a conduit to ward off the evil and help out, God's creatures, right? God's people. And so that comes in very useful, or as useful. Comes in very useful. There you go. Well, very useful in this job because they're able to bring people back from the evil, from the possession, with their love and their compassion and their caring for this person that they're trying to help and trying to bring them back with good thoughts, right? I mean, with thoughts of happier times than what they're going through right now, which is pretty much every time, right? If you're somebody who's demon-possessed, pretty much every time in your life is happier than the time you're experiencing right now with good old Mr. Demon, right? So Lorraine, Vera Farmiga, like I said before, she plays Lorraine Warren so well. It just portrays a warmth to the character, really convincing you that she really wants to help these people, and it just shines through with this. And Patrick Wilson as Ed is the exact same way. They really want to help people. So, which I know I've probably over communicated that. Faux show. So, obviously, I'm sure you've gathered that this is a movie that you definitely should check out. It's, don't mistake it for, a bunch of the modern horror movies, because today in, the world of modern horror movies, it's, there's just so many that just shouldn't even exist. And so I don't blame a lot of people for not wanting to go out and watch horror movies that are made today. It's gotten a little bit better in the last 10 years. There's a lot of directors. Another beer burp. Pardon me. So that are also sick of the just phoning in horror movies, and they really want to provide a scary experience for people. And so there's a lot of good movies like that, like X just came out. That was a good one. It's kind of more gory than scary, but so actually the sequel to this movie, The Conjuring 2, it's also a fantastic movie. I put it on an even level with this movie here. And speaking of The Conjuring 2, this Conjuring movie actually just spawned a whole Conjuring movie universe, because you've got this one, you've got its sequel, you've got Annabelle, another movie called The Nun, which I hear really stinks, and I haven't bothered to see it because I've just heard way too many people I know just say that it's terrible, and I'm not going to waste my time. And there's other movies in the Conjuring universe, so this must have been a pretty good movie to spawn off that whole universe. And some are good, some are bad. I will tell you that The Conjuring and its sequel are very, very good, okay? I would recommend them both. And so, since we're getting close to Halloween, it's the Halloween season, if you're going to have like a scary movie marathon, you should definitely include The Conjuring, The Conjuring 2, The Exorcist, I'd say Candyman as well. I mean, just a whole myriad of movies. The Black Phone is a good movie that came out recently, which actually, that's not really a horror movie. It's supposed to be scary, but it's kind of more of a murder mystery thriller, but that's good. So yeah. So with that, hey, I just want to, again, thank everyone for watching, for listening to this episode. It means a lot to me. Recommend it to your friends, family. That would be much appreciated. And with that, my good friends, get out there, all right? Those movies aren't going to watch themselves. All right. Happy Halloween.
Hey, guys, don't leave the video quite yet. Okay, I've got a popo. They're coming after me, and I don't have much time to tell you, but you need to like and subscribe this video right here, down below. It's right down there. It's just waiting. It's waiting for you down there, okay? And make sure you watch these videos over here, too. You'll be doing me a big favor. I'm going to be in handcuffs pretty soon. All right. Thanks for watching.